Hey everyone, happy Friday! My name is Ellen and I'm at Wild Birds Unlimited in Joliet, and on Fridays we go live to tell you what's new, what's happening in the store, and what's happening out in nature. So tonight, excuse me, we will be talking about events that we have coming up. We have some new items I want to show off to you. We also have two topics that we're going to kind of cover somewhat condensed. But of course, you can always come in the store, give us a call so that we can go over these topics in more detail to your specified yard situation. So let's get to it. We're talking about events first and foremost. Tomorrow, Saturday, September 6th, we have an in-store craft. Art in the Garden. We're making pine cone bird feeder. So if you want to come by and make a craft, make a little pine cone bird feeder, you can come by and participate in that. It's free. It's open from 11 to 3. You just come by the store and we are making up these little feeders. So things I want you to be aware of: if you have a peanut or tree nut allergy, this is probably not the activity for you, since a lot of these products are either contain peanuts or tree nuts themselves, or it is made in a plant that has peanuts or tree nuts. So if you're very sensitive and allergic to those products, I wouldn't recommend this craft for everyone. But also, if you have kids, you can definitely bring them along. This is a great craft for kids. Just be sure that they're accompanied by adults. But we will be having that craft tomorrow from 11 to 3. So please stop by and participate. Another thing that we're happening this month, on Monday, September 8th, is our September bird outing. We are meeting at 9:30 at Rock Run Preserve at the Black Road Access. So it's right down the street from the store. It's a great way for everyone to get outside. September is always a great month to see birds because we're in migration. So you never know what you're going to see. So definitely come by for that. Again, it's 9:30 at the Rock Run Preserve, right down the street from the store at the Black Road Access. That's where we meet. We just go into the little parking circle, and I'll usually be standing somewhere in that parking circle, and meet me there, all right? Other things that are happening this month, September 13th, which is a Saturday, we are having Crosstown Exotics back, and they will be doing a live reptile meet and greet. So they'll bring all sorts of critters and reptiles, amphibians that some of them you can just see, some of them you can touch. It's always a great time, and it's a cool way to learn some fun facts about some unique reptiles and animals that we don't always see all the time. So that's really cool. Other things that we have coming up in September, we have a native plant sale. We have a couple different animal meet and greets, including a live bald eagle program that we are, Wild Birds Unlimited of Joliet and the Wilk County Audubon Society, are sponsoring at Pilcher Park Nature Center on September 20th. So be sure you check up on our website for all the information on that. Also in September, we have a really cool workshop that is starting, Class 1, our avian artistry workshop. This is in partnership with Dottie's art studio, and that's in Plainfield. But she is an artist, and she's been teaching art for a long time. So it's a really cool way to learn how to draw birds. So I was actually so motivated, inspired by Amy Tan's book, The Backyard Bird Chronicles. All her little sketches and art in her book, her journal essentially, has really made me inspired to get my hand at drawing. And now I am not an artist, right? But I'm definitely going to give it a shot, because she will take you through from pencil sketching, inks, to watercolor and acrylic. So you can pretty much do it all, or you can select a class and come that way. 2 of these classes are going to be here at Wild Birds Unlimited after hours, and 2 of them will be at her art studio in Plainfield. You can register by going online or scanning the QR code if you come in the store. On our website, the link is there, so you can go check that out. If you do all 4 classes, it's $100. So it's essentially $25 per class. Or if you want to sign up individually, it's $30 per class. So take your hand at it. It's going to be a really great time. I will be there. Some of our other staff from here at the store will be participating also. But it's a great way to give your hand an exercise and learn how to do some avian art. And she'll go through all those tips and tricks. And let me tell you, all the supplies are included with your fee. All you just come and bring your creativity, bring your passion for birds, and she will get you started. Every class you are going to leave with your own masterpiece. So really, really excited for this one. Definitely sign up and join us for this guy, all right? But again, all of our events are listed on Facebook and on our website, so you can get all the information on what's happening and when it's happening here at the store, okay? Let's go into some new items because we had a lot of new items come in this week. Most of them are food, bird feeding related, and some of them are not. And let's go talk about them right now. And the first ones I want to talk about is we did get in more fall and Halloween mat mates. So I just grabbed 2 that I believe are the new ones. But we have, I loved this one. Check this guy out. Oh, this way I think, right? This way. There we go. Boo for Halloween. And then I also grabbed this one, which I also thought was really cool. There we go. What do you think about that one? So lots of good mats. I think we even got a couple holiday, like winter mats. So be sure you stop in and check that out. I don't think our winter ones are out on the floor yet, but if you have your heart set on getting a winter one right now before the stock starts clearing out, definitely ask a team member here and they'll help you by bringing them all out and you can go shop through the boxes, okay? So that's that. Let's talk about some of our new feeders that have come in and more importantly, some of the new foods that have come in. And I want to talk first about Disco Inferno. So if you were a Daily Savings Club member, you possibly hit a trial size of this, a 2-pound bag of the new Disco Inferno. We just got in our new 4-pound bags. Now, what makes Disco Inferno different than Fiery Feast or other hot pepper foods that we carry? Well, Disco Inferno is twice as hot as anything on the market. So they're guaranteeing that this is going to be the hottest of hot. So if you have pesky squirrels that will eat the Fiery Feast, I'm telling you, they're not going to eat Disco Inferno. Okay, so definitely stop by for this if you are one of those people that has some of those tricky squirrels that seem to have a flair for hot pepper foods. They won't be bothering this. So this might be the way to stop them and get rid of them for sure. Okay, Disco Inferno is here. Also hot, we've gotten a new seed character, and this one is called Hot Foxy. So she is just so cute. I love her little eyelashes that are up here. How adorable is that? But Hot Foxy is made and comprised of compressed seed. So just like our other seed characters, she is compressed with seed, but all of her ingredients, minus a little bit of the millet here, which let me tell you, the squirrels don't care about millet anyway, is most of the ingredients here, her body, are comprised of peanut pieces, golden safflower, sometimes called Nutri-Safflower, mealworms, and then cranberry and cherry. They're dried. A lot of them are the noses and things like that, the little extra pieces. And then, of course, it's hot pepper. So hot pepper is a great product to use if you are trying to deter your squirrels. And we're going to talk a little bit more about hot pepper today, so don't worry. But Hot Foxy is here. She does not have a hole through her. Her back is flat, but she does have this hanger here. You see that hanger? So you can tie a string Or another great way to use it is with one of our new feeders. And I'm going to talk to you about that just here in a minute here. Other food items that we've gotten in, and it's not totally new. We have had these last year, but they were super popular. We did bring back our seed skulls for the holiday season of Halloween, and they are just so popular. The skull itself is comprised of sunflower seeds, peanuts, and safflower. And then, of course, all the extras on top of this that make it that sugar skull are all dried pieces of fruit. How cool is that, guys? I just love the details on them. They're so cute. These guys do come with a string that you can hang. So, yes, you can hang them from your trees or from a feeder. They make a really good, cool addition for the Halloween or that kind of season. All right, it's the Day of the Dead, right? Other thing I have hanging here is a new feeder for seed cylinders. So I don't know if you see here. Let's move it up, I guess. Is a new feeder. And this feeder holds 3 different seed cylinders. So as I've shown you here, yes, you can do 3 of the small, or you could do 1 large one and 2 smalls as I've shown you here. So this feeder, it comes also with little extra hooks on the bottom. And if you see here, I've tied a cranberry bell on the bottom. But you know, when we have holiday, we have the ornaments and things like that, the seed ornaments that you could also hang from the bottom here. Very, very cool. I kind of love how this works. I love how that you can offer many different foods, maybe 3 different styles of foods, and offer them all in one feeder. So you have asked and we have delivered. So this is back. This is now in stock. You can come grab it here. It is actually a really good price point. It's just over $10. So it's $12.99. It's a really, really good price point. And yes, you can feed 3 cylinders and 3 extra little mini hanging items too. How cool is that? And then on this side, I have put in on the blue tidy feeder, because we brought this in for a limited edition, and it is back in stock. So we have brought it back in because they have been so popular. Tidy feeders are a super popular feeder here, and in this blue color, it makes it even more popular. So stop by, grab them. We have a limited amount in stock, but it can be yours if you come in and grab it while we still have them in stock. All right. I think that's what we have for the new items that I have here. I also wanted to show you. Let's talk about hot pepper foods real quick, because right now we have a special promotion going on in store, or if you shop online on my WBU, if you can receive a free hot pepper cylinder with an order of $75 or more. And I just wanted to talk about hot pepper and the way we use them and why we use hot pepper foods. So the reason to use hot pepper foods is not so much what birds like it or what birds don't like it, because let me tell you, all the birds, they love hot pepper, and it's really about who doesn't like the hot pepper. And really, the only one that does not like hot pepper is not a bird, but rather our critters. So, say squirrels, raccoons, all of the mammals that tend to visit your feeders and become kind of mischievous, sometimes destroying feeders, sometimes eating all the seed that you're trying to feed your birds with. Hot pepper stops that. And the way that it works is that mammals, all mammals, even humans, have a brain receptor where we can sense hot, we can sense spicy, Well, birds don't have that brain receptor. So hot pepper is super effective at keeping those squirrels at bay from devouring everything at your feeders. So I use a lot of hot pepper foods in my yard because my yard is very long and narrow and it has a lot of trees in my backyard. And oftentimes I cannot baffle a pole system properly to make it squirrel proof. Yes, baffles have rules. All right, with most baffles, we want it to be at least 5 feet high off the ground and hanging right below the feeder has to be above that baffle. The baffle also and the whole system itself needs to be 10 feet away from any other object. Otherwise, you could have a side launch attack. So in my yard, it is really tricky to deter the squirrels using baffles or traditional methods, unless I perhaps wanted to cage my feeders, which I don't really like to do because when we cage our feeders, we're limiting the amount and the sizes of birds that can fit and feed from your feeders. So because of that, I like to use the hot pepper foods. This way, I'm not deterring anyone. All the birds still get their favorite ingredients and their favorite foods. It's just in a hot pepper flavor that the squirrels don't like. This way, I can hang them in trees or up close by a shrub line. And even if the squirrel does get on the feeder, he usually takes one whiff and it moves along. He doesn't even try it. Although occasionally you'll get a squirrel that will try it. And let me tell you, they're not a happy camper, and they do move along. All right, let's talk, because I have another topic I want to talk about real quick. And this topic was a requested topic by a customer, and I really appreciate that because I oftentimes wonder, what do you guys want to hear from me on Fridays? And I always try to come up with a really good topic that either someone had a question of during the day or during that week. And I know many of you probably have the same questions. So the question is how do I deter or slow down mourning doves and pigeons from my feeders? Well, mourning doves are pretty common in backyards. Occasionally we'll get a pigeon, such as a rock pigeon, but mostly we find pigeons closer to the city. But the problem with pigeons or mourning doves is they are large birds. And sometimes they come in with all their friends, especially at the end of summer like it is now, and they have their young with them too. And these larger birds, even though they're not super aggressive, they work in numbers, similar to your sparrows, except they're in a bigger body. And their presence and the numbers of them at feeders can deter smaller birds, such as finches. Okay, so I have 5, technically 6, ways that we can slow down or deter mourning doves at your feeders. This also applies to many of our doves, or pigeons, if you will, right? So things to think about with doves and pigeons is they have a unique trait, okay? So they actually have what's called a crop, and it kind of lives in their throat. And essentially, this crop allows them to eat all their favorite foods, which tend to be almost any seed out there, some fruits, and also some garbage foods, like what I would consider bread or even litter that is food, like fries on the ground. This crop, it helps them not only break down those whole seeds. Yes, they do not shuck the shells. They are eating the seed with the shell and the seed inside. So not only does it help digest the shell, but that crop actually stores food so they can use that later. So let's say they are migrating And yes, while we will see mourning doves here in the winter, it doesn't mean that our local flock that stayed here for spring and summer won't move down slightly south, and the ones that are further north are going to come and stay here in the winter. All right, so that crop is essentially a food storage, right? It's that garbage dump. It is going to stay in there, the backpack of food in their throat until they need it. Okay, they also use the crop, and when they have their young, and they actually feed their babies what's called a crop milk. So that is what they feed their babies with. It's pretty fascinating. But I understand it. You have a feeder out there, and sometimes those mourning doves will come and swoop in. They'll hang out at the feeder all day because not only are they literally gorging themselves with all the food in sight, but then they take a nap. They often take a nap right in the feeder in which they are eating at. So here are a couple tricks and tips to help limit the amount of mourning doves or pigeons that are coming to your feeders. Okay, number one, all has to do with the quality of seed that you are buying. All right, so this diagram, this image here, this poster, it has a really great example of why WBU seeds are better than the just average blend that you might get at, say, a box store, right? So in this blend here, you'll see that the bottom half, the majority of this mix is made up with seeds such as canary seed, wheat, oats, red milo, red millet, things that typical birds in our backyard, like your cardinals and chickadees and woodpeckers and nuthatches and all those, that whole group of birds that you are really trying to get, they don't eat that. In fact, they're only eating about 27% of the seed when you buy ingredients like that. So the first tip I have is feed foods that do not have cheap filler. Okay, and I call this stuff the cheap filler. All right, the red milo, the red millet, the wheat, the canary seed that birds in your backyard typically will not eat unless it is a game bird, meaning a pheasant, a turkey, a dove will sometimes eat some of this stuff. Okay, the other thing doves will tend to eat that may be in our seed is white millet, which is the little round white seed that's up here. It's a good seed for a lot of our ground feeding birds. All right, so if you like mourning doves, millet's going to be your best friend. If you like mourning doves, cracked corn is going to be your best friend. All right, because those are all ingredients that doves and pigeons love to eat. All right, so the idea is that a good quality blend can keep these pigeons and mourning doves away from feeders. Okay, if your blend has no corn or white millet in it, it can also discourage doves because the lack of those ingredients, the corn, the cracked corn, and the millet in the seed blend discourages the kicking and dumping out of seeds. So sometimes if you get a bag of seed that has high millet, right? So I would say like our select blend. It's majority millet. It's meant for ground feeding to appease your sparrows and your mourning doves because it has a high concentration of millet. If you put select blend in a tube feeder and a chickadee comes along, guess what that chickadee's doing? It's going to kick out all the millet, all the corn, just to get to the few sunflower seeds in there. Now, that makes doves very happy because they will happily eat on the ground and with all that scattered millet, which is a favorite for them. All right, so my recommendation is to use blends of seed that have no filler, such as cracked corn or white millet. So now you're lucky here at Wild Birds Unlimited because we don't have any seed that has any of the unwanted filler that no one eats. Okay, none of your songbirds. You won't find any red in our seed mix. Yes, you may find white millet and or cracked corn in some of our seed blends. Not very many. So I would recommend either using a No Mess Plus blend, a sunflower chips, choice blend, or supreme blend that has no millet, no cracked corn in it. It has a high count of sunflower chips, sunflower seeds in it, and other fun ingredients, sometimes peanuts. Okay, so a lot of good things in there, but will discourage the birds that we don't want to have, such as the doves that we're talking about here today. Another thing you can do that revolves around food is to use food without shells. And the idea is similar to what we just talked about with cheap filler seeds, right? When seed has no shell, it's less likely to be kicked to the ground. Now, even seed with shells, sometimes that it gets kicked to the ground, and it's because maybe bits and pieces in that hole still have little pieces of seed in it. And well, that's an easy picking snack for your mourning doves, who will happily eat bits of seed in shells because they eat shell and seed whole, and they have that crop to take care of it. So my recommendation is, again, use no mess blends, such as sunflower chips that are out of the shell, straight sunflower chips, or no mess plus. Again, because we were trying to limit white millet and we're trying to limit corn in our blends, and we want no shells at all. And that would be a great other alternative. Also, you can offer foods that are difficult for doves and pigeons to consume. And while they will eat a wide variety of foods, here are some items that they really have either a difficulty eating or they simply just won't eat it, such as peanuts in the shell, bark butter, suet, mealworms, and cylinders. Yes, seed cylinders can be a great way to deter your mourning doves because, again, their bills are not designed to pick out pieces of seed and fun ingredients from these seed cylinders. They're designed to eat on the ground and pick up loose seed right from the ground. So if you can offer things that make it trickier, or in feeders that make it trickier, that's another option, which brings me to option number 4. Use feeders that do not accommodate doves. Okay? And what I'm really talking about is that you want to use feeders that discourage large birds. Now, doves and pigeons typically prefer tray feeders or hopper feeders. And that's because it mimics how they eat in the natural world, which is on the ground. All right? So the other thing to think about is their actual physique. Mourning doves and pigeons are big-chested birds, and their feet are positioned pretty far back on their body, which makes it difficult to feed off of certain feeders, such as tube feeders with small little perches like this, right? Other feeders, such as some of our squirrel-proof feeders, seed cylinder feeders, suet feeders that require clinging, all really discourage mourning doves and other pigeons from using them. Thing to be mindful of, if you're using a seed tube feeder and you have a tray underneath, the tray is going to be a no-no if you are trying to eliminate mourning doves from the feeder. Okay, and this goes with not only seed tubes like this, but also finch tube feeders. All right, if you have a tray under there and you're wondering why your doves just keep having food comas after they eat at the feeder, well, that's why. It's because you're giving them the bed. Eliminate the tray and you can say goodbye to the mourning doves eating out of here. Now, yes, they may eat underneath the feeder, but they're not blocking your birds from coming to the feeder, which is exactly what we want. We want to discourage them from eating at the feeder itself to allow other birds to have access to it. Okay? The other way, my least favorite way to deter them, is using cages. Okay, I already talked about why I don't really love the cage option, because it can limit the type and the size birds that you are having coming. But we have cages and just about any feeder. From seed tube, this one has a seed cylinder. We have ones for suet. We have ones for almost every type of feeder. Even ground tray feeders, we have cages for. All right, so just be mindful that when you use cages, you may limit the amount and the size of birds that can have access to the feeder inside. All right. But number 6 is something where I like to call the compromise. And this is feeding mourning dove and pigeon favorite foods in a feeder far away from the rest of the main feeder setup. So let's say you have this feeder hole here and you are trying to attract all the birds that you really want, like your woodpeckers and chickadees, nuthatches, your cardinals, your orioles, your woodpeckers, all of those other friends can be invited here, but we're going to take a tray feeder or say a small hopper feeder and put it in the very far corner from this feeder setup, and we're going to fill it with things that they love, such as a high millet blend that has potentially corn in it. Excuse me. In doing this, you are still offering food that they can come to. You're not completely saying no to them, but we're going to limit where they're going to eat. So I like to use this tactic a lot when I'm trying to slow down or deter sparrows. So I say either I go full straight millet, which we do carry here in the store, and I put it in a tray feeder in the far back corner of my yard. That way the sparrows have their own place to eat. The same goes with in this case with mourning doves. If you have a mourning dove issue and you have a lot of them and they are deterring other birds from coming, put a tray feeder or a hopper feeder in the far back of the lot and fill it with millet, white millet that they absolutely love. They will stay and hang out over there and leave some of your other feeders alone to allow access for other birds. All right, I hope that makes sense for you guys. And again, I always love when you guys come in and ask me these questions because it makes me think about other people that might have a similar issue or might have a similar question. If you are one of those people that have a cool question that you would like to ask, feel free to put it in the comments or message me on Messenger here on Facebook, or come in the store and ask it to one of me or my staff, and we will either answer it on the spot and we will write it down so that we can answer it on Friday Live. So wonderful. Melanie says that she saw a hummingbird this afternoon. It was going to our hosta flowers and then went to our feeder. Oh, that's so great. Yep, now is the time for hummingbird action. By the end of this month, we will start to see a huge decrease in activity. So now is the chance to try to get the majority of the action here. Now, after September, it doesn't mean they are completely gone out of our area. In fact, I recommend to keep feeders for hummingbirds out until Halloween, because at that point after Halloween, it's very, very rare that we will see a hummingbird in our area. But until that sweet spot from October to Halloween, the 31st, that is a lull. So unless you're watching your feeder 24/7, you may not see a hummingbird for several days. Okay, so just be mindful that you never know who might stop by at your feeder, who might need that feeder as a last-ditch effort for survival. Birds that have traveled all the way into Canada will move all the way down, and sometimes that journey takes a long time for these birds. So your feeder can really mean the difference between life or death for them. But it's so great that you saw one, and it's a really fun time because this is a time where we can see a lot of action. Activity picks up. Now, once we start getting further into September, the activity will decrease, or it will have waves where we see a uptick in activity, and then we have a couple days where it's kind of slow. And that's okay. That's normal. Remember, we're in migration. All right, so they are on the move. And every day that we get closer to Halloween, we may see less and less of these hummers in our yards. So soak it in while you can, because they won't be along forever. And it won't be until next year that we will see them again. So do enjoy. Do you guys have any other questions? I can answer them here now. Otherwise, again, we'd love to hear from you, what you're seeing, what you're not seeing anymore. Be on the lookout for juncos and wintering sparrows that might be showing up here any day now. We can see them as early as September. So definitely keep your eyes out for wintering visitors that may call your backyard home for the fall and winter season. All right, guys, we'll see you next time. And we look forward to Friday Live with you next week. I usually go live around 5:30-ish. Give or take a few minutes, depending on how the day has gone and how busy we got at close. But anyway, you guys have a wonderful weekend. Hope we see you tomorrow to take advantage of all the cool new items that we have, plus our craft that we have going on tomorrow. We do hope that you come by and enjoy, all right? You guys have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.